Mukbangs just keep getting grosser. Food influencers are stuffing their faces with copious amounts of food, all in the name of entertainment. Burgers, pasta, seafood, giant brownies. No food is off limits for mukbang influencers.
Hey yo, I'm about to eat 20 chicken Big Mac all by myself. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba. I'm loving it.
But mukbangs are far from entertaining. These videos are garnering millions of views, and these influencers are wasting food for shock value and clout. They're an unhinged display of over-the-top wastefulness and overconsumption. Let's dissect the toxic world of mukbangs. Mukbangs originated in South Korea in the early 2010s. They started as live-streamed events where people ate while interacting with viewers, creating a sense of companionship, intimacy, and virtual dining. The word mukbang comes from the Korean words, and forgive my pronunciation because, shocker, I can't speak Korean. Myeoknin, that's the best that I can do, which means eating, and bangsong, which means broadcast, and it roughly translates to eating broadcast. South Korea's use of mukbangs initially fulfilled a cultural craving for connection, especially for people who ate alone. Mukbangs gained popularity due to what's known as Hallyu, which is the global spread of Korean culture through media like K-pop, K-beauty, and K-cinema. Mukbangs spread globally, especially on YouTube, becoming a viral sensation that now includes challenges, eating extreme or exotic foods, and consuming copious quantities of food in short time frames on camera. Now you can find countless videos of foodie influencers chowing down on excessive meals, with videos garnering even more views if influencers are eating something spicy or combining foods that should never be combined. A January 2020 study that analyzed over 5,000 mukbang videos on YouTube found that those that were the unhealthiest, showing someone overeating in a shorter amount of time or eating exceedingly spicy or irritating foods that could cause discomfort or harm, were watched significantly more than less extreme videos. There are also women who are mukbang creators who purposely eat food that's shaped like, let's just say, certain body parts in really suggestive ways, and it's just flat out gross. One of the most disturbing mukbang trends of this year was the candied Chipotle burrito trend, where people were dunking their giant burritos in hot sugar, then stuffing them down their throats after it had dried like hard candy. Mukbang influencers have bragged about the thousands of dollars that they're making off their content, and they show no signs of slowing down. Why do we live in a world where people can get rich off of having no talent, just stuffing their faces with food on camera, making hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars? Meanwhile, people who are working in the service industry doing grueling work can't even get paid a livable wage? Gotta love America. A lot of these mukbang influencers don't even eat all of the food that they purchase. They just buy copious amounts of food, take a few bites, but edit it carefully so that it looks like they're eating the entire meal. Eat with Boki, a popular mukbang creator, faced widespread criticism after her followers noticed editing errors where her clips were cut out where she was swallowing. Others eat so much during these mukbangs that they risk their lives, like Pan Chowting, a 24-year-old Chinese mukbang streamer who lost her life during a live broadcast from overeating. An autopsy revealed severe abdominal deformation and a stomach full of undigested food that was the cause of her losing her life. Losing your life for likes and engagement is just another level of unhinged. The obvious defense of this indefensible food waste is, if you don't like mukbangs, then just don't watch them. Well, of course we don't want to watch this content. In fact, whenever mukbangs are serviced to me in my algorithms, I specifically say, not interested. Do not show me this again. But because these videos are so popular, inevitably they end up back in our algorithms. I don't like to shame people for what they eat. I really don't. But this amount of food waste is egregious. The USDA estimates that in 2023, 47.4 million people lived in food insecure households, and 12.2 million adults lived in households with very low food security, and 7.2 million children lived in food insecure households. This is even more stark when viewed in a global context. Across the globe in 2024, as many as 309 million people are facing acute levels of food insecurity, according to the UN. And much of this is experienced in the global south, and it's a direct result of the overconsumption from the global north. And we already know, as I talked about in my Erewhon hauls video, that millions of Americans are experiencing food insecurity right now and can't afford the price of their groceries. Millions of people in the United States and across the globe are suffering from food insecurity, are suffering from hunger. Despite this, these mukbang creators still feel the need to waste food excessively in contrast with this reality. Mukbangs are yet another example of how influencers are completely detached from the realities of everyday people and how their privilege allows them to ignore the social conditions of people who lack privilege for their own self-absorbed personal gain. For many people, food is a scarce and valuable resource, yet mukbang creators indulge in it as a practice that's essentially turning food into disposable content. And this mass consumption of food is honestly an insult. It's a slap in the face to people who can't afford groceries right now, okay? It's a slap in the face for people who can't afford to feed themselves. It's a slap in the face for people who don't know where their next meal is coming from. And these mukbang creators are not even eating food like a normal person eats food. They're acting like this is the first meal that they've ever had. They're chewing loudly. They're swishing their drinks loudly for no reason. Actually, there is a reason for engagement, right? For shock value. It's similar to how these restock influencers dramatically place items into drawers or bins because they're trying to get that ASMR sound. Or how beauty influencers dramatically open their packages, tapping on each beauty product. These mukbang influencers are following a similar formula. Not only are they tapping, they're also aggressively chewing. It's absolutely appalling and disgusting. It is entirely unnecessary to eat this way. Eating copious amounts of food in such a grotesque way, often to the point of discomfort, really shows how online platforms reward grotesque behavior. Social media's algorithms prioritize engagement, so it's promoting these extreme forms of mukbangs, especially when they generate strong viewer reactions, even if it's disgust. And this is how it becomes normalized. And this spectacle of excess caters to the audience's voyeuristic tendencies, and it transforms food into a mere tool for engagement rather than something that we actually need to consume for sustenance. And it amplifies a culture of consumerism, and it disregards the real-world food insecurity that people are experiencing. And the privilege is undeniable when you think about who can afford to consume such quantities of food for fun. In my last video about the fridgescaping trend, which you should definitely check out if you haven't seen it already, fridgescaping is when people decorate the inside of their refrigerators with things like candles and picture frames and all kinds of ridiculous odds and ends. But in that video, I posed the question of, how does something so basic as a refrigerator that's meant to keep your food cold become a place that you feel that you need to decorate the inside of? We're not talking about decorating the outside with just putting cute little magnets and little pictures and little Polaroids. No, we're talking about the inside of a refrigerator that is meant purely for functional purposes, okay? But mukbangs take it even a step further, probably 1,000 steps further actually. Because how does something so basic as the food that we eat to nurture ourselves become a prop to be used for entertainment? And not entertainment in the sense of watching your favorite cooking show, because boy, do I love me some Gordon Ramsay, okay?
What are you?
An idiot sandwich.
I love me some Bobby Flay down. I love me some Food Network down, okay? I like the Food Network, okay? But no, we're not watching seasoned chefs make masterpieces in the kitchen. We're watching people gorge themselves for fun. What are we doing with our lives? Mukbangs really underscore a culture where we place spectacle and profit over human need, all while the marginalized continue to struggle. Whenever I come across a mukbang video, I ask myself, who is this for? Why do people like this kind of content? I think there's an element of fatphobia and double standards in mukbangs, particularly when larger sized creators participate in mukbangs. Their content is often watched through a lens of voyeuristic fatphobia. Viewers are watching with a lurid gaze, unable to look away because it's reinforcing their biases that fat people are unhealthy and uncontrollable, similar to why shows like My 600-Pound Life appeal to people. Larger bodies are displayed as objects of lurid curiosity. In contrast, mukbangs featuring thin creators are often viewed as quirky or impressive or cute with audiences being much more accepting of them eating large quantities of food. And so this double standard shows how people lampoon and exoticize larger bodies while exalting thinner bodies and romanticizing thinner bodies, doing unhealthy things, because at the end of the day, unhealthy is unhealthy no matter what size you are. So mukbangs embody capitalism's alienation of food from its primary purpose. In mukbangs, food's use and value, which is supposed to be nutrition and sustenance, is secondary to its exchange value, engagement, and profit. And this waste is a symptom of commodifying our most basic needs and doing so in excess. And there's also this really, really weird phenomenon known as feeder content, where people watch mukbang videos to live vicariously through the people that they're watching so that they're not making these unhealthy decisions and they can just watch someone else do it. Similar to how people like to consume reality TV, watching people with dysfunctional eating habits makes people feel better about themselves, I guess. Feeder content is often predominantly featuring women eating large quantities of food on camera, and it's produced for the gratification of mostly men who like to see women gain weight. I know this is weird. There's no other way to describe it. It's just straight up weird. Just people engaging in insane behaviors for other people's gratification. What else is new on social media? So it's clear how mukbangs have drifted far away from their original purpose and now just serve as symbols of waste and spectacle. Mukbangs, though originating as a social bonding activity, have developed into a manifestation of overconsumption and privilege. By wasting food for shock value and clout, mukbang creators are perpetuating a disturbing trend on social media where excess and waste are celebrated and spectated at rather than condemned, no different than an influencer PR unboxing video or a Sephora haul or an Erewhon haul. They've drifted away from their original purpose of fostering community because they are now doing the exact opposite. Community means sharing resources. Community means rejecting greed. But instead, these mukbang influencers are hoarding resources for their own self-aggrandizement. Mukbangs are wasteful and out of touch, and no one should be making or watching content like this. Maybe if it's a regular mukbang and you just happen to be eating food, like normal portions of food, that's not as bad. I'm talking about content that is extremely wasteful and over the top for no reason, okay? It's okay to make normal mukbangs, but the idea that people take such pleasure in watching people gorge on copious amounts of food for their own entertainment, it says a lot about our current cultural climate. We're detached from the importance of food as a form of sustenance. And that's the collective we, because I know most of you are smart enough to not be, but the collective we. This cultural shift towards eating food as a sport has a lot to do with the way that social media rewards content that shocks or titillates. I know that things like hot dog eating contests have been around for a long time, but at least with hot dog eating contests, which, by the way, nobody asked for, like, why is that even a thing? Those are ridiculous too. We don't need that. We can go ahead and wrap that up too. But at least with hot dog eating contests, they usually take place like as a special event. They're not happening all year round, at least not that I know of. The popular ones that are publicized are usually happening at a specific time of year, but these mukbangs are happening all year round. Now we have influencers building entire brands around wasting food all year round for entertainment's sake, because people are drawn to the absurd and obscene and the outrageous. In essence, mukbangs capture this strange contradiction at the heart of consumer culture. We crave connection and meaning, but we seek it through disposable entertainment and excess. Rather than addressing our need for connection directly, we have found comfort in watching others indulge in ways that we know are wasteful. Listen, eat what you want in the privacy of your home or at a restaurant, wherever, but buying food you don't need to make content for attention is unnecessary. My intention is never to dehumanize people, but instead to discourage people from turning themselves into slapstick caricatures for likes and for views. I promise you, if you find your own unique personality, you won't have to embarrass yourself for money. This trend speaks to a culture that is lonely, bored, and desensitized to waste. So disconnected that we find pleasure, that we find comfort in watching people live lives of excess, live lives of overconsumption without consequence. And I think that it's a disturbing portrait of a culture that's teetering on the edge, a culture that's driven more by spectacle than by meaningful values. I wish we would teach young people that they can build platforms on the internet by not only entertaining their audience, but by making them smarter, by teaching them something. by imbuing them with knowledge and not overconsumption. Our platforms are powerful and we can use them for good or we can use them for bad. And I choose to use my platform to educate you guys about these social media trends so that you can think about them deeper beyond the spectacle. But I would love to hear from you in the comments down below. What are your thoughts on mukbangs? Do you find them just as gross as I do? I would love to hear from you. And if you like this video, definitely give it a thumbs up. And if you really liked it and you want more content like this, then definitely hit that subscribe button. We talk a lot about overconsumption in all its forms. If you like this video, you'll definitely like my video about crumble cookies and how that is being overconsumed right now. You'll also probably like my video about Erewhon hauls and how influencers are using food as a way to show off their wealth as a status symbol. Other than that, you can find me on my social media platforms as well as my Patreon down below. We have $1.50 tiers available for those of you who want to support my work. And we've also recently introduced $5 tiers for those of you guys who are feeling a little bit more generous. But besides all that, thank you so much for watching, and I'll talk to you all next time.